Hello, and today I'm going to be talking about input devices, output devices, and sensors. Input devices are any hardware devices that send data to a computer or a microprocessor. It also allows you to interact with and control the computer itself. On the other hand, output devices are any peripheral that receives data from a computer or a microprocessor, and it usually is used for display or projection. These are examples of input devices, and these are examples of output devices. First, I'm going to be talking about input devices and examples that I've chosen to talk about. I'm going to start off with keyboards. Now, keyboards are one of the most commonly used manual input devices. They input data into the computer through a combination of symbols, numbers, and letters. The data can also be inputted in a specified language such as Thai. In comparison to the touchscreen is an easier way of entering data due to the fact that you just have to touch the screen to interact with it instead of touching the keys on a keyboard manually. An alternate keyboard choice would be the ergonomic keyboard. These have been developed to help reduce health problems such as repetitive strain injury that are linked with typing. They also have a more natural shape to them which reduces stress on the wrist and hands. As well as this, they come with a built-in hand rest in which further helps prevent health issues. The keyboard is used to input data in applications and to enter commands into the computer. Some advantages of using a keyboard is it enables fast entry of text into documents, it's easy to use, and data that is inputted instantly appears on the screen. This allows you to quickly check whether or not you are entering the correct data. Some of the disadvantages are that it can take up a lot of space. Users that have wrist and hand problems can find them painful to use, and entering data can be slow in comparison to automatic methods such as barcode scanners. Those will input data into the computer almost instantly. These are pictures of keyboards. This is the ergonomic keyboard, and this is the normal keyboard. This is the sort of letter pad on the iPhone, and on phones it looks like this. So these are for touchscreens, and this is the example between a normal keyboard and an ergonomic keyboard. As you can see, the strain on your wrist and hands is way more here than here. Next, I'm going to be talking about the mouse. This is a type of pointing device that controls a cursor on a screen. There are two types of mouses, the ball mouse and the optical mouse. The ball mouse uses a ball under the mouse to detect movement, and the optical mouse uses reflected light to detect movement. In comparison to the tracker ball, it is better than the mouse in terms of health, since people with hand or wrist problems can still use it without having a problem. It is also more accurate and can be used even when there is no flat surface available. In addition to that, there is no limit to the amount of room the ball can travel, since you can just keep rolling. On the other hand, the mouse sometimes can run out of room on a mouse mat. The advantages of using a mouse are that it is quick to select icons and options, it's easy to move a pointer around the screen and to navigate through documents, and they are small and do not take up a lot of space. The disadvantages of using a mouse is the ball mouse can pick up dirt, which will affect the accuracy of the pointer movement. Users that have wrist and hand problems can find them painful to use, and you will need a flat surface in order for it to work properly. For instance, they would be hard to use on a train unless you had a flat table to rest it on. These are images of the mouse. This is a mouse with the optical mouse. This is the ball mouse, and this is the tracker ball. As you can see, the ball on top gives you a lot more access to a lot more room, so this would be the better option in terms of a pointing device. Next, I'm going to be talking about microphones. Microphones are used to input analog sounds into a digital computer. The microphone will input analog sound signals into the computer, where the sound card will convert the analog sound into digital data. In other words, the sound carried in the sound card will convert the analog sounds into ones and zeros, so binary. Once it becomes digital data, the sound can be stored and used by the computer. Uses of the microphone will be that it can input sounds and speech for use in a range of applications. It can be used for voice recognition software and for gaming when communicating to other people in the game. Advantages of using a microphone is that it's faster to read text than to type it in using a keyboard. It's very cheap to buy, generally, and it makes driving safer since people do not have to take their hands off the wheel in order to use their mobile phones. But that is only for some applications. Some you still need to use your hands with. Some of the disadvantages that you will have when you use microphones is that sound files can take up a lot of computer storage space. Speaking words into a word processor is not accurate, meaning that mistakes are common. And background noise can interfere with voice recognition systems. These are images of microphones. This is a more mechanical one. And this is the microphone on your phone. You can also use Siri when you talk to your phone. Usually on your iPhone you can use Siri. Next I'm going to be talking about quick response codes, or QR codes. This is a type of barcode that is made up of matrix filled in dark squares on a light background. In comparison to normal barcodes, QR codes can hold over 7,000 digits, whereas normal barcodes can only hold 30 digits. So QR codes are obviously able to store more data. They can be scanned anywhere and are used in advertising of products in areas such as trains, buses, and shopping malls. The code can also contain a website link or some form of advertising. Advantages of using these codes are that the user doesn't have to write down or key in website addresses, and the scanning of the code does it automatically and it's easy to use. It is also very effective and an easy way of advertising products, and creating the code itself doesn't cost any money. Well, it'll cost very little money, if so, none. Disadvantages include users need to download a QR code reader, and some might not want to do that because it wastes space on your phone. Scanning can also be a long process, and lack of awareness of these codes can also mean that less of them are used by people. This is what a QR code usually looks like, and this is an example of a QR code reader on your phone that you can use to scan these codes with. My last input device is scanners, and scanners are used to enter information on paper into a computer, and these are hard copies. There are two types of scanners, 2D scanners and 3D scanners. Scanners can convert hard copies into digital data. That data can then be stored on your computer. Scanners reflect light off the hard copy in order to capture an analog image of the document. Then the scanner converts the received analog data into a digital format. Old photos that you have or important documents that you have, such as birth certificates, can be scanned into the computer, thus meaning that you still have a digital copy if the original is somehow damaged or lost. Advantages of using a scanner is that it's quick to enter hard copies into the computer when compared to retyping them with a keyboard. It's very easy to scan and store documents and images into the computer. These digital copies of the stored data can easily be duplicated or backed up. Old photos that you may have that are damaged can be scanned into the computer, then repaired using graphics editing software. Disadvantages include that the scanned images are often of a lesser quality than the original document, and these scanned images can take up a lot of disk space, especially if it's in high definition. Output devices are next. Laser printers produce high quality hard copy outputs on paper. They use toner pressed on a page to produce printed documents. They are able to print large amounts of pages at a very quick rate. You can buy both black and white laser printers or color laser printers. They use a buffer memory which stores the information for the whole document before the pages can be printed out. Laser printers often use a laser beam to draw onto a drum, which is basically the platform. And the uses of laser printers would be that they are very useful for printing when noise levels need to be kept low. They're good at producing high quality printouts very fast, and they're good for the environments when high volume printing is required, considering that the low printing cost per page for laser printers is very good. They are popular with schools, businesses, and offices due to the fact that they have low printing cost rates. Advantages of the laser printers would be it's very fast at printing documents. They can handle high volumes of printing. They're very quiet when printing, high quality printouts, cheaper to run than inkjets, which I'm going to talk about next. They are also very reliable since they don't break down as easily as inkjet printers. Disadvantages, some of them, include that they're more expensive to buy but cheaper to run. They're environmentally unfriendly and they use more power than inkjet printers. The color laser printers are more expensive to buy and run than inkjet printers, and they're larger in size when compared to other types of printers, so space might be a problem. I'm going to talk about inkjet printers, which I just mentioned before, comparing it with the laser printers. They produce a high quality of hard copies on paper. Although the quality of inkjet printouts is not as good as laser printouts, it is way better than dot matrix printer, which I'm not really going to talk about, but they're not as good as inkjet printers and the laser printers. Ink is stored in and delivered to the paper via an ink cartridge. It can be printed on both black and white and in color, and they have small amounts of internal memory to store print jobs, so printing can be done a little bit at a time. Inkjet printers work by spraying ink onto a page. The motors are used to position the ink cartridges over the correct position of the page and to drag the paper through the printer. The uses of this printer would be that they are good when few printouts are needed, especially if you're just going to print some pictures. Usually that's ideally what you use it for. And you can also ideally print just one page because that page will be in very high quality. Some of the advantages are that they're cheaper to buy when compared to laser printers. It doesn't harm the environment. They're very quiet when printing, smaller than laser printers, so they take up less space, and the output is very high quality, as long as you keep the amount of copies low. Some of the disadvantages include that it's expensive to run, the printing rate is slow, particularly when the copies are in large numbers, and the printouts are easily smudged so the document is not left to dry properly. The third output device I'm going to talk about is the TFT motor, which is the thin film transistor motor. These are thin flat screen motors that are commonly seen today. They have taken over the CRT monitors as they get cheaper. They are used with the newer desktop PCs, laptops, and mobile phones. They also allow users to instantly see outputs from the computer, and their thin and light design helps the laptop remain portable, light, and easy to transport. Advantages of using this type of monitor is that it's light and weight, it's very thin and it doesn't take up as much space on your desk as a CRT monitor would. It can handle high volumes of printing. They produce less glare than CRTs and are friendly to the eye. They are also able to use less power than CRT monitors, so cheaper to run, and they produce less heat than CRTs. The disadvantages are that images can appear unclear when viewed from a certain angle, but if you want the best view, you want to look straight at it. They also have a lower definition when compared to CRTs, and they can't be used with light pens yet.